Tell me the truth. How many times have you thought that spending your old age with your children, surrounded by the love of your family, is the secret to a peaceful life? What if I told you that it could actually be the biggest mistake you ever make? Watch the entire video to find out why, and stay until the end, as we reveal a powerful secret that can give you a peaceful and joyful life. Subscribe to the channel The Smiling Buddha to receive other precious teachings on Buddhist philosophy and personal growth. Today I will tell you a story that challenges social conventions and will make you think deeply. Zen master Kenshiro used to gather his disciples at sunset when the temple, nestled in the mountains, was enveloped in a golden aura of peace and silence. That evening, one of his students, Takeshi, approached with a question that had been burning in his heart for a long time. "Master," Takeshi asked, "my elderly mother wishes to move in with me, but I feel a strange uneasiness. Isn't it my duty to care for her in her old age?" Kenshiro stared at the sky for a long moment, then replied, "Takeshi, I will tell you the story of a woman named Miyako, who, like your mother, sought refuge in her family as she grew older. But not everything went as planned. Miyako, a recent widow, felt lost. Her house was full of memories of her husband, and the silence of the rooms hurt her. So when her son, Hiroshi, proposed that she live with him and his family, she immediately accepted. It seemed like the ideal solution. Surrounded by her loved ones, her grandchildren whom she loved so much, her loneliness would vanish. In the first few months, everything was going well. Miyako felt useful. She cooked, she took care of the children, and the house was full of laughter and life again. But as time went by, reality began to show itself in a different light. Miyako began to notice how every gesture, every word was interpreted as an invasion. Every little piece of advice was perceived as an intrusion. One day, as Miyako was about to prepare tea, her daughter-in-law said to her in a gentle but firm tone, "Miyako-san, today the children would like juice. Could you prepare some for them?" At that moment, something inside her broke. She understood that even though she was in that house, she was no longer the master of her life. She was a guest who had to adapt to the rhythms, rules, and needs of another family. Her independence, that thin but precious thread that had always kept her strong, was slowly fading. Master Kenshiro looked intently at Takeshi. "The loss of independence, dear disciple, is the first sign that something is changing, and not always for the better." Miyako began to feel invisible. She was no longer the woman who once walked along the river with her husband, reading the ancient poets. Now it was the grandmother who had to take care of the little things in the house. Her interests, her dreams, seemed to vanish in the noise of the daily lives of others. But now, before we proceed, we want to know your experience. Have you ever lived with your children and lost your independence and felt submissive? Write it in the comments below the video. Your experience can be of great help to others. As time passed, the balance of the house began to falter. Miyako noticed that her presence no longer brought joy but tension. The glances between her son and daughter-in-law, the veiled comments about the lack of space in the house, about managing expenses, made her feel like a burden, despite her efforts to make herself useful. And so one day, Miyako decided. With a heart full of pain, but also of a new clarity, she told her son that she was leaving home. She wanted to go back to living alone. She wanted to rediscover that freedom that slowly had been taken away from her without her realizing it. Miyako understood that sometimes true love is made of distance, Kenshiro said, his voice full of compassion. Staying close to your children may seem like the safest path, But the true path of the heart sometimes requires courage and separation. Eventually, Miyako found a small apartment near the park where she used to walk. He resumed his rhythms, his moments of solitude and meditation. He signed up for a painting course, made new friends, and rediscovered a part of himself that he thought had been lost. Visits from her grandchildren were now filled with joy, because they were chosen moments, not forced by cohabitation. Kenshiro, looking at Takeshi, concluded, "Remember, living with your children is not just about sharing a physical space, but also about putting your independence, your dignity, and your identity at stake." Love is not measured by proximity, but by the quality of relationships, and sometimes to preserve that love it is necessary to distance oneself. Have you ever thought that perhaps your happiness could depend on your ability to step away, find yourself and let your children live their lives without your constant presence? And you, have you ever had to make a similar decision? Write it in the comments below the video. But there is a secret that very few people know, and that I want to reveal to you right now, a teaching that completely changes the way we see old age. According to Zen wisdom, the period of old age is seen as the phase of inner rebirth. It is a time when, paradoxically, you are invited to let go of everything that binds you to the past: bonds, responsibilities, expectations. Only then can you blossom like a lotus in still water. Living with your children can prevent you from going through this moment of transformation, keeping you anchored in a cycle of old habits. But by stepping away, you can rediscover a new version of yourself, one that thrives on freedom, peace, and complete awareness. This secret is a real game changer. When you stop looking for external security and dive deep into your soul, you discover that you no longer need to lean on anyone. Your old age becomes the most powerful moment of your existence, and this, my friends, is the true teaching of Zen wisdom. So don't fear the separation. Embrace your path and you will discover a new life, just when you thought it was over. But now the time has come to reveal to you a fundamental Zen teaching for your life. But first, give this video a nice like, subscribe to our channel, and activate the bell so you don't miss our next contents dedicated to Buddhist philosophy and personal growth. Here's the secret that very few know. According to ancient Zen teachings, the true power of old age lies not in accumulated wisdom, but in the ability to unlearn. Yes, you read that right. Releasing old thought patterns, beliefs, and attachments allows you to access a mental freedom that few experience. It's like returning to the purity of a child's mind, but with the depth of a sage. Only those who have the courage to empty themselves can live the final phase of life with the lightness and fullness that everyone seeks.